Are you ready to advance your career, hone your skills, or explore new vocational paths without spending thousands of dollars to further your education? Skillfeed.com features over 65,000 video tutorials to keep your creative and technical skills current. Choose from long courses or short tutorials called Skill Snacks, featuring courses on business, web development, education, finance, leadership, photography, and more. Get your 30-day free trial now. Log on to skillfeed.com/radio. That's skillfeed.com/radio.
It's time for Money for Lunch, where we feed your brain and your business with supersized portions of business and financial news. Now your host, Bert Martinez.
Welcome back to Money for Lunch. I am your host, Bert Martinez, and I'm delighted to be here. I am fighting a little tiny cold. I think I'm winning, but if you hear some extended dead air or pauses, it's because I'm probably coughing and I've got the cough button pressed down. Other than that, looking forward to a fantastical show. What do you call it? I think that our good folks up there in the north have been doing awesome against the against the savage winter that they've been facing. This week seems to be they're getting some heavy snow. So if you're out there, if you're anywhere where that snow is, send me a shout out. Let's talk about your experience out there in the frozen tundra that is the East Coast. Let us know how you're doing. We've seen some unbelievable pictures where the snow is really just busting down doors, squashing roofs, and encasing cars. So always want to connect with our friends out there. Anyway, we have a great show. Richard Ehrlich, he's going to be on the show. He has a financial background working with people like Drexel Burnham, Lambert, anyway, so he's going to be on the show. Linda Allred, known as the Bad Habit Belief Breaker, she's on the show. And then Jonathan Roseman, content manager for nextadvisor.com, who covers credit monitoring. He's going to be on the show, and then we're going to wrap up the show with a special guest, Bill Bartman. So we're off to a great start. I'm excited about today's show. Let's get the party started with Richard Ehrlich. Richard Ehrlich started his career as a financial advisor with the prestigious firm of Drexel Burnham Lambert, working directly under the Wall Street genius Michael Milken. After years of working on Wall Street, Richard did the unthinkable and moved out of the corporate sector and founded the Secure Wealth Planning Group in Boca Raton, Florida. Richard's guiding philosophy in life is that life is more than a paycheck. After seeing his father lose his entire life savings to the market and poor financial decisions, Richard decided to focus his efforts on helping his neighbors protect, grow, and enjoy the retirement. As Richard is fond of saying, live your life. Problem number one, worrying yourself to death. Not sure of the unknown and the retirement assets. And I think that is a big stressor. Richard Ehrlich, welcome to Money for Lunch.
Welcome to be here. Good to be here.
All right. So, I think that your father's story probably hits home to a lot of people, especially in the last couple of years. We saw a lot of retirees come out of retirement and get back to work.
Well, I think that the key factor is that, like my father, like most people, they did plan. They did try to do some savings, but they never had a macro plan in place. And we know that markets go up and markets go down, whether it's in real estate or stocks and bonds and mutual funds. And unless you have a plan, you're going to get caught because the market has cycles. Every 5 to 7 years is a significant market correction. And so if you don't have the proper planning in place, you're going to get caught off guard just when you need the money the most. So we talk about the difference. Yeah, it's a big thing.
Yeah, no, it's a huge thing. And so let's talk about this problem number one, this worrying yourself to death. I think that this is probably a very, a very common thing. I mean, either right now, think about it, there are people who maybe they're not worrying about it all the time, but in the back of their mind, it creeps up, right? I mean, they're thinking as they're putting the next kid through college, okay, this is putting my retirement back a few years, or hey, the market just dipped, so my retirement is not as secure as it was. So they're constantly worrying about it. One way or the other. Of course, there's people who are worrying about it. That's all they do is they check their assets on a daily basis. They're so worried about it. So how do you fix this? How do you get to the point where you're not worrying yourself to death?
Well, ideally, the key thing is that we talk about there are numerous risks in retirement, and the number one risk in retirement is, believe it or not, longevity risk, the fact that somebody could outlive their money, but also knowing the fact that the markets have these cycles. And unless you have a proactive money management and retirement portfolio, you're going to get caught in these dips over a short-term period. So just to give an example, most people, whether they're with the big Wall Street brokerage firms or the insurance companies, what they're doing is they have what they call the buy and hold. Right? You buy something and you hold it. And that strategy worked excellent from 1954 up and through the end of 1999. It doesn't work anymore. So you have to be able to get into position of doing like risk-off positions. You have to be able to make sure that you know how to maneuver in and out of the markets. Without that, right when you need the money the most, that's when you're going to be hit them hardest. And most people, they think they're actually making money now. They're just recouping old money. So you cannot go through that when retirement, or else you're going to have a big trouble.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, if you lost whatever, let's say $100,000, yeah, you almost have to get what, $200,000 just to break even now, because you're
right.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
People don't realize. Yeah, people don't realize that. That's correct.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about problem number 2. People don't enjoy their retirement primarily again because of money. I know that my father-in-law, awesome individual. Him and his good wife had a pretty good retirement plan. And even with health insurance, they spent an enormous amount of money on healthcare issues that, of course, nobody expects. But I think it's something that we should all plan for. And the bottom line is we're living longer. We have to stretch that dollar further. So how do you get to people? How do you help people enjoy their retirement?
Well, it's an interesting point. It used to be people used to work for a company for 40 years. You get to retirement, they give you a big going away party, a nice gold watch, and they send you off with a pension. Unfortunately, there's major problems with Social Security, pensions. These are all going bust. Taxes are going up, and people are stressing out over that because more and more the risk is on them. And the reason why they don't enjoy their retirements is because their entire lives are tied to the markets of up and downs. A lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. And I'll just share with you an idea. Imagine, you wanted to take this big vacation that you've dreamed of your whole life. And you said, okay, great. You land at the airport. You rent this unbelievable, beautiful Cadillac with all the leather trimmings. You put on your favorite show. You put on your favorite radio song. And now you put the air conditioning, you're cranking, and you're driving, and you see all the beautiful sightseeing you've wanted to see. And as you're on the highway, you pass a sign that says next gas stop 150 miles. So you and your wife look at each other, and you look down at the gas gauge, and you have less than a quarter of a tank. So now you get into an argument about, hey, what's the right speed? Should we turn the air conditioning on and off? Right? We want to make sure we're going to get to our destination. They turn the air conditioning off, and now the window is open, it's hot, and you're not looking outside, and all you're doing is staring at that gas gauge. And that is what people are doing in retirement, and that's not fun. And I always tell people, you didn't work your entire life just to make sure you have your bills paid in retirement. Well, that's true. We talk about not just having a paycheck in retirement, but having a playcheck in retirement. So you really need to put together a comprehensive plan that eliminates and hedges against that risk in retirement. Yeah,
absolutely. I like that. Not a paycheck, but a playcheck. I think it's a great way to look at it. And what you said about pensions, man, that is so true. Back to my father-in-law, his company ended up going out of business, I think his 3rd or 4th or 5th year into retirement, and he ended up losing his pension.
Right.
And it's a commonplace thing now.
Right. We just had a woman who came into our office. She's an ex-TWA flight attendant, put in all of her time and energy, and they took it all away from her. So you really need to be proactive these days to make sure that you're taking on the responsibility for yourself. And here's the good news. There are a lot of very safe and consistent and predictable ways to put together a comprehensive plan. But like anything else, depending on where you go for your advice, that's what you're going to get. So you know when people are going, we talk about going to the traditional brokerage houses. They have a very, very low standard of what they have to do for their clients. So unfortunately, it's not in their best interest. So that's why we always tell people you want to hire yourself a CFO, somebody who's going to give you factual information, and somebody who's going to be a fiduciary acting on your best behalf.
All right, let's do this. Richard, I got to take a quick commercial break,
sure.
And then we'll be right back. We're talking about you and your retirement with Richard Ehrlich right after this.
Did you bring the camera phone?
I did.
Do you want to go first?
I've been waiting for this all day.
Okay, this is Rose and Stacy.
Introducing Chase Quick Deposit. Just photograph the front and back of your check using the Chase mobile app on your iPhone and hit send.
It went through?
So cool.
This is so cool. You want to try it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, who's next?
Make a deposit from anywhere, anytime with your iPhone.
To Mr. and Mrs. Walker, why would they send my parents a check?
Chase what matters.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch. And check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.
All right, we are back. We're talking about you and your retirement, your paycheck versus your paycheck. We're speaking with retirement expert Richard Ehrlich. Let's talk about this. What about, what's your take? Can you have some kind of guarantee when it comes to a reliable income plan? What's your take on this?
We talk about having what we call a 3-bucket approach. You have to have a certain amount of your money that is absolutely principal protected and that you're going to have guaranteed income, so that those checks are going to come in no matter what. But you also need to make sure that you have other buckets or other accounts of money that, while they may not be principal protected, they can provide consistent growth and have that inflation hedge in a portfolio. So you need to combine all the various sources of income, whether it be Social Security, pensions, and guaranteed income, and then from there optimize the rest of the portfolio. But make sure that it's something that does not have a lot of risk and a lot of volatility. That's the last thing you need as you get into retirement.
Yeah. You know what, and I want to visit this for a few minutes. You mentioned something regarding traditional brokers versus fiduciaries. Let's talk about this. What's the standard of care between the two?
Well, the standard of care for a broker is it's suitability, right? They ask you a couple of questions, fill out a risk questionnaire. It's a very, very low standard. They do not have to have what they call a fiduciary standard. So while many people come to our office and say, well, we're paying 1% for our portfolio, when we do the analysis, we find out they're paying far more than that, because they're allowed to double dip, overcharge for bonds, and overcharge for all kinds of things like that. So unfortunately, the broker, the way it works is that the consumer is actually a byproduct of the process, right? The main focus is getting profits to their shareholders on Wall Street. A fiduciary is held to a significantly higher standard. They have to be completely disclosing. They can't do any additional hidden fees. It's got to be completely in favor of the investor, very similar to what a relationship you would have with a lawyer or a doctor.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it seems to me that right there is one of our problems with the financial markets, is that you can have a broker who can double dip. And whether you make money or lose money, he still makes his money. I think there's something wrong with that. And then you have this other area of care, this higher area of care, the fiduciaries, that are totally in your corner, but yet not a whole lot of people know about the fiduciaries. Correct. As opposed to a broker.
That's correct. And I always tell people, until they find somebody like myself or other like-minded advisors, they're going to still get the same exact advice. We teach a retirement class for pre-retirees at a college course down here in Florida, and one of the probably the main question people ask is, how do I know what the difference between is brokerage firm A versus brokerage firm B? And I tell them it's the stationary. People want to know why they're getting their investment. They want to know why they're getting the advice they're getting. And I tell you, look,
right.
If you went into Starbucks, right, and you didn't like their coffee, are they ever going to recommend you go to Dunkin' Donuts? No, that's all they have, and you can't blame them. That's what the system they're in. But a fiduciary can come in and tailor something. We have a great video on our website on brokers versus fiduciaries that really helps people understand the difference. And once they understand the difference, it becomes very clear, and the process becomes very easy.
I love it, Richard. Thank you so much for stopping by. What is the name of the website, real quick, in case somebody wants to check out that video?
Playchecksforlife.com.
Playchecksforlife.com. Richard Ehrlich, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
You bet. All righty.
Bye.
All right. Great stuff there. I love the concept of having a paycheck versus a paycheck. I just love that idea. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with Linda Allred right after this.
My name is Peter Shankman, and I have a new book coming out called Zombie Loyalists, Using Great Service to Create Rabid Fans. You ever go to a restaurant and you eat there and they really like you and you go back a lot and they treat you really well and they buy you a free drink and you bring friends and all you want to do is go to that place and that's the restaurant you go to all the time? You're a zombie loyalist for that restaurant. In my new book, I'm going to show you how to create zombie loyalists for your business, whatever kind of business that is. You're going to create customers who are so in love with you. They want to do your PR, they want to do your marketing, and they want to do your advertising for you. Remember, when you tell the world how awesome you are, no one believes you. But when someone else tells the world how awesome you are, everyone believes it. I'm going to show you how to be awesome to those customers so they bring you more and more customers and driving your revenue through the roof. Sales are going to explode. Customers are going to explode. Everyone is going to love you. This book will change what you think about your customers, how you treat them, and how you do business. It's going to be a wild ride. Everyone loves zombies. Buckle up.
Welcome back to Geico Radio. It's savings on the radio.
Call us, Steve. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just got a free rate quote on Geico.com. Saved a ton, and it only took me 5 minutes and 12 seconds. I was wondering, is that some sort of record?
That's a good question. Let's have a look.
Not quite. Someone's got you beat by 8 seconds.
Still, I mean, that's quite fast.
Well, what if I told you I only use one hand?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch. And check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.
All right, we are back. I want to introduce to you our next guest, Linda Allred. Linda is known as the Bad Habit Belief Breaker, and is the author of the best-selling book, Answering the Call, published by Celebrity Press. The book became an instant #1 bestseller in 2 categories, marketing and marketing for small businesses. And Amazon, the day it was released, due to the message that so many people needed to hear, needed in their lives. Yeah, so many people need it in their lives. The book finally allows the reader to answer their own call in their journey through life, whether that is losing 10 pounds, 100 pounds, reducing stress, quitting smoking, making $100,000 or $1 million in their business. Linda's powerful chapter, Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life, inspires readers through her own courageous story, going from overweight and overeating to creating a false sense of happiness to find her true calling and passion, turning her life around and giving back to others to help them let go of their own limiting beliefs to free themselves of the constraints holding them back from greatness. Linda Allred, welcome to Money for Lunch.
Well, hello. I am so excited to be with you today.
I love this, the Bad Habit Belief Breaker.
Don't we all have them?
That's right, we all do, absolutely. So let's talk about this real quick. Tell us a little bit about your chapter, Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life, in the book, Answering the Call.
Well, our President Henry Ford said, if you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Linda Allred says, change your mindset, change your life. It all starts with your mindset. And so the book chapter teaches 5 surefire steps to create amazing happiness, love, health, and prosperity. And, we all have these little limiting beliefs, and Linda Allred, like you said when you introduced me, I ate my pain away, and so I learned to let go of my limiting beliefs and let go of them. And, you know, your audience has probably heard of Marianne Williamson, but people, they, you know, why you don't have it ever what you want. And she says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, or fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. And there is nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our present automatically liberates others, and that's by Marianne Williamson. And that's how I've seen my life evolve from a young 74 to having a best-selling author. 21 years ago, I thought I was dumb, stupid, and a failure. And I believed that until I learned to tap into the power of my subconscious mind where all your good and bad habits and beliefs are stored. And as I started believing in myself and letting my light shine, now you give people that choose to work with me permission to let their light shine. And so today I'm all about be the hottest ticket in town.
Gotcha. All right, so let's talk about this. Okay, so you mentioned 21 years ago you felt that you were dumb and not worthy or whatever. And so what happened that caused you to go from feeling one way to feeling another way?
I had an inner critic. I called him a little Tasmanian devil that beat me up all day long. And the number one limiting belief in the world, Bert, is I am not good enough. And I believe that. And so today you can get this book, Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief, that he states that all of our thoughts and feelings are transmitted throughout our entire body, and that if you want to know where beliefs come from, he says that when you're in your mother's womb, halfway through pregnancy, through 6 years old, we're in a theta state, a hypnotic state, that we do not reject anything that we hear, see, smell in our environment. Everything is downloaded directly into your subconscious mind. So then you grow up and you want to be successful and you don't understand why I can't be successful. It's all of these beliefs from hearing what your mother thought, your father thought, all of your environment. And so he spent his entire life trying to figure out, well, I know it, I proved it in my science, but how do you change those beliefs? And he says the two most powerful modalities on the face of the world, on the earth, is learning to practice self-hypnosis and the energy work of kinesiology, which changes beliefs in 2 to 5 minutes. And so many years ago, I thought I was dying of a heart attack, and I ended up sitting in a hypnotist chair, heard every word the man said, and did not think I was hypnotized, thought it was the biggest waste of money in my entire life, but my world got better. I had more self-confidence. I slept better. I had a better sense of well-being. My memory improved. And I said, how did that happen, And so I took a weekend course, not planning on growing up to be a certified hypnotist, but the hypnosis changed my life so profoundly that I had to study it, and then I gave up a very high-paying, great benefit, 17-year career as a human resource director to walk out on a leap of faith to teach others what I had learned. So that's how it all started, is learning to change my own beliefs. And I can give you an example. The year after I walked away from my human resource career, I was bringing in about $4,000 total revenue a month. I could pay my bills, but I couldn't pay myself a salary. And so I was got this information. This man was teaching you how to market hypnosis down in Orlando, Florida. Well, my little dreambuster husband thought that was the biggest waste of my money to go down there. But I was changing my beliefs, you know. I was ready to let my light shine. And so I went down there and hired him as a consultant, and he worked with me. And when my husband had a stroke in 2000, I had sold my business. Well, it was in 1999, yeah. Anyway, I was bringing in $60,000 a month. We were on track to bring in $750,000 that year when I sold my business. How did that happen? I changed my beliefs. So I have spent my entire life figuring out all about the mind and the science of the mind and how I can help not only myself but people that work closely with me, you know, shine. And then I met a lady in a high-end mastermind group, and it was 2009. I stood up and said I was a certified hypnotist, and I could help people change beliefs in 21 to 28 days. And this lady, 3 seats down, stood up and said what she found the limiting belief, she could do it in 2 to 5 minutes. Well, under my breath, I said, "You think I believe that, you crazy woman?" Well, guess what? I started hanging around her, and I realized that she had come up with a system. Systems work. Single sessions are hit or miss, but systems work. Like I have a weight off now, get healthy, get happy system that repeatedly gives you the results you're looking for. So systems work. So I have been studying under her since 2010 and just became certified in the kinesiology work that she does that she calls ACT, Accelerated Change Template. And the reason I worked with her is because I asked myself this question: who would you rather work with, the 2 to 5 minute lady or the 28-day lady? Well, that was a no-brainer, you know. And so then I found out about Bruce Lipton said the two most powerful modalities on the face of the earth is hypnosis and the energy work of kinesiology. And I put those two together, and now people that work closely with me, their lights are shining too, and it's really fun to help people go to feel good and look good and charge what they're worth.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And you're so absolutely right. It's really how we see ourselves and how we believe about ourselves that keeps us from achieving what we really want to achieve. Let's go back to your program, Be the Hottest Ticket in Town. What is your secret formula, if you will, to helping people achieve the Be the Hottest Ticket in Town goal? I mean, how do you get somebody from, let's say, you know, I don't know, 50, 100, 200 pounds overweight to the point where they're now the hottest ticket?
And whether you want to make 100,000 or $1 million, it really doesn't matter. And if your audience has a pencil, they may want to write this formula down. The first letter in the formula is B, T, F, A equals R, and it stands for your beliefs lead to your thoughts lead to your feelings lead to your actions, and your actions lead to your results. So if you're not getting the results that you want, circle the R. Then you have to back up one to the A. You're not taking the actions that you need to take to get the results. So then you got to back all the way up to the beliefs. What limiting beliefs are holding you back from believing that you can't take the action to get the results? And I can tell you I've worked with a lady that was a honeymoon travel agent, and she knew exactly what she needed to do, but she wasn't taking the action. She just didn't believe she could do it. And within 7 months, she had increased her business 366%. So how did that happen? The energy. She believed she was the hottest ticket in town, and when you believe that, you talk with confidence, you exude the energy that you know what you do, you're the expert in your category, and people just are gravitate towards that kind of energy, and that's what it's all about. Like Marianne Williams says, it's not that our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate, it's that we're powerful beyond measure. You know, that's to step into our light and to be.
Yeah, you know what? Now I tell you what, I like some of the stuff that Marianne Williamson has said, and And maybe what she, that statement that you read is one of my favorite statements that she's come up with. But, I've just never met too many people who said, you know what, Bert, I feel I have such a big light that, it scares me too much, therefore I'm not going to go for my goals. And usually it's the reverse. And usually it's people, like you just said, who don't believe in themselves, who don't see their light, who don't see that they really make a difference. I've never met anybody who says, I am powerful with all measure and it scares me, so therefore I'm just going to hide my talents in a closet. I've never gotten those people. Have you?
Well, you're talking to one right now.
Okay.
Last year at the Mastermind Retreat, we had to write on an index card what was our greatest fear holding us back from igniting 2014. And I wrote on my index card, I'm scared to speak on big stages. I speak locally, but I've never spoken on big stages. Then my mentor took us outside, and we had to walk on a pathway of broken wine shard bottles, glass.
Right.
Got to the end of the runway. When I picked my card up, I laughed. I said, if I can walk on glass, I can walk on anything. Well, I've spoken now, big stages all the way to West Palm Beach, Florida, to Hollywood, California in 2014.
Yeah, but what I'm saying there though is, Linda, is that again you were expressing your deepest fear, not your biggest light. I'm saying, in other words, what Marianne Williamson has said in that quote that you started off with is that it's our light that scares us, not our darkness. And I again, I've never met anybody who was scared of their light. I've always found people that were scared of their darkness. They're scared of the fact that, hey, I can get on local stages, but not on the big stages. That was coming from your dark place. But you were able to achieve.
But what I did this year, I just got back from the retreat, and we had to walk on a 4-inch bridge and crack a 2x4 board. Have you seen people crack? Okay.
Yes.
You know what my fear was?
What?
And I had to write it on the board. Don't be afraid to let your light shine.
Now there you go. All right.
All right. So, and of course, I was a caregiver for my husband. I didn't market my business for 3 years. He passed away 19 months ago. And when you step into your power again, achieving, we're scared we can't be successful, but when you get successful, then you're scared you're not going to be able to keep that light and walk into that light. So it's a parallel.
Yeah. And I've seen that happen. I mean, there's a gentleman just within the last couple of years, he had this wonderful radio voice, right? He had this newscaster's, just a fantastical voice, just really the golden voice of radio. And if you Google if you YouTube golden voice of radio homeless man, you'll see who I'm talking about. So these guys at a radio station found this guy who's out there peddling on the street saying, hey, if you give me some money, I'll let you hear my golden voice. And so, they gave him a couple of bucks, and he got out there and he did his thing. And he's got this wonderful voice, and they kind of rescued him. And they said, oh, my gosh. And so he became an instant sensation. I mean, his YouTube video has been watched by millions of people. He was on Good Morning America, and he did the voiceover for Good Morning America, and his story went all over the place. And he crashed under that pressure. He thought he could no longer do it. He reverted back to his old belief, and he's now back on the streets, being homeless again. So there is those things that you see people crash all the time, and so good for you that you were able to break that bad belief and get your light out there, because we all need to do that. I'm certainly a big believer that you and I were created to succeed. God did not put us on this planet to be miserable, to be mediocre, to be broke. Not that we all have to be Donald Trump, but we certainly weren't put on the planet, to be miserable. So success is different for everybody. But, anybody out there who has kids, you're not going to give birth to a child and say, hey, you know what, I want this child to be really mediocre, not go for a whole lot, and just kind of be, timid and afraid. No, you want your children to go out there and go for it and have their life and shine their light and help other people, because really that's what it's about.
Exactly. And,
Go ahead.
My whole career was all about weight loss, and when I was a caregiver for my husband, God kept sending me entrepreneurs that wanted to lose weight, but they also wanted to make more money and charge what they're worth, and that's all I got. And, and it hit me on the head. I've never talked about my entrepreneurial path. I've always talked about my weight loss struggles, and I realized that I had been an entrepreneur for 20-plus years, and I've never gone bankrupt. I've always paid my bills, and that's a lot to be proud of. So I did, when I started speaking again locally, I did a little presentation at La Madeleine's. The room could hold about 30, and I think we had 34 people come, and I talked about how to skyrocket your business in life when you squash your limiting beliefs. And I realized that was a powerful side of me that I needed to share with the world. And then there's a belief in the fastest way to cash, C-A-S-H, is speaking. And people are terrified to speak. That's the number one fear in the world. Death is number 4. We'd rather die than get up and speak. And one of the beliefs that I test in that category, speaking, getting known in expert status, is I'm the hottest ticket in my field and my ideal clients know it. Well, I changed it to I am the hottest ticket in town and my ideal clients know it and are eager to pay me for my services. So every time I work closely with somebody, I would give them a high five when they align for that category. And so I have this huge community now of the hottest ticket in town people, And so I'm rebranding my website right now. But I'm just having fun. And, going back to Marianne Williamson, I understand that I had to get over my fear and let my light shine, because when I let my light shine, I'm giving permission to others that want to follow in my path to let their light shine. And life is wonderful,
Yes.
It really is. I could have laid in bed and cried and felt sorry for myself. I was married for 54 years, but I decided, hey, I choose to be happy. I'm going to stand up again, And so that's what life is all about, just learning to be happy.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think that right there is what we're going to end on that note. I think that's the perfect, I would call it, definition of what life is all about: learning to be happy. Linda Allred, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing. Look forward to having you back again another time.
Can I say one thing before we go? I'm doing a call tomorrow, the hottest ticket in town, and you can go to SkyRocketYourBusinessNow.com, SkyRocketYourBusinessNow.com, and sign up. And the 28-day lady and the 2 to 5 minute lady, Nakia DeVille and we're going to do a call to teach you how to become the hottest ticket in town.
I love it.
And
it's
absolutely free.
Skyrocket Your Business Right Now?
No, SkyRocketYourBusinessNow.com.
Now.
SkyRocketYourBusinessNow.com.
Linda, thank you so much. Guys, we're off and running. Great stuff there by Linda Allred. I just love where she came from, right? And it is really about changing our beliefs. And we can change our beliefs very quickly. It does. We've all done it. We've all gone from being a smoker to quitting. We've all gone from what do you call it? Let me rephrase it. We've all had bad habits that we've broken within just a few seconds. It didn't take willpower. What did it take? Well, different things for different folks, but it was motivation, inspiration, and so your beliefs can be reshaped and your life can be changed. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to be joined by Jonathan Roisman right after this.
My name is Peter Shankman, and I have a new book coming out called Zombie Loyalists, Using Great Service to Create Rabid Fans. You ever go to a restaurant and you eat there and they really like you and you go back a lot and they treat you really well and they buy you a free drink and you bring friends and all you want to do is go to that place and that's the restaurant you go to all the time? You're a zombie loyalist for that restaurant. In my new book, I'm going to show you how to create zombie loyalists for your business, whatever kind of business that is. You're going to create customers who are so in love with you. They want to do your PR, they want to do your marketing, and they want to do your advertising for you. Remember, when you tell the world how awesome you are, no one believes you. But when someone else tells the world how awesome you are, everyone believes it. I'm going to show you how to be awesome to those customers so they bring you more and more customers and driving your revenue through the roof. Sales are going to explode. Customers are going to explode. Everyone is going to love you. This book will change what you think about your customers, how you treat them, and how you do business. It's going to be a wild ride. Everyone loves zombies. Buckle up.
Welcome back to Geico Radio. It's savings on the radio.
Call us, Steve. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just got a free rate quote on Geico.com. Saved a ton, and it only took me 5 minutes and 12 seconds. I was wondering, is that some sort of record?
That's a good question. Let's have a look.
Not quite. Someone's got you beat by 8 seconds.
Still, I mean, that's quite fast.
Well, what if I told you I only use one hand?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch. And check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.
All right. Hey, we're back. Being joined by Jonathan Roisman. He is the content manager at nextadvisor.com, nextadvisor.com, who covers credit monitoring, credit cards, savings accounts, web hosting, tax services, auto insurance, online colleges, audiobooks, and online meetings. He previously wrote for Jay, the Jewish newspaper weekly of Northern California, and has been published by Huffington Post, 7x7, and Giants Magazine, among others. He's a graduate of San Jose State University and currently resides in the San Francisco Bay Area. Jonathan Roisman, welcome to Money for Lunch.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Man, it looks like you're pretty busy there at nextadvisors.com.
Yeah, they keep me busy with a bunch to write about.
All right, so let's talk about this. 3 ways to improve your credit score. What are the 3 ways that what are the 3 things that we can do to improve our credit score?
Well, it's let me just first say, it's easier said than done, but it's actually fairly simple. The 3 biggest things, to do to improve your score would be to pay your bills on time and in full, if possible. Monitor your credit reports and decrease your credit utilization ratio.
Okay, so I understand the first 2. What is credit utilization ratio, and why do I want to decrease it?
Well, credit utilization ratio is basically it's the formula used to determine how much available credit you have and how much you're using. So, for instance, let's say you have $10,000 worth of credit with your credit cards, and you have $2,000 in debt. That would mean that your credit utilization is 20%. So you have 80% more that you can use with your credit cards, and it's one of the biggest factors in determining your FICO credit score. It's about 30% of what goes into the score, and it's important to keep your utilization ratio really as low as possible, preferably under 30%.
Sure. Now that I know what it is, it makes perfect sense. Absolutely. So obviously, if you're going to lend somebody money and he's 80% credit utilization, that's a much higher risk than if it's inverted.
Exactly. And, that might scare off lenders. They're going to be wondering why you have so much, why you charge so much and why you're not paying it off. And, they may not be wanting to give you an account.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's talk about this. Why monitoring your credit is important. And so it's a 2-part question. Why has that become so important nowadays? And what's the best way to do it? Because there's a lot of commercials about different monitoring services out there.
Well, I think part of it is that people are more aware now of how important their credit report is. And with the internet, spreading that message around is a lot easier. And your credit score really it's such a big piece of your financial life, and knowing what's on that report is such a big deal because it gives you the knowledge to understand why your credit is either doing well or why it's doing poorly and how you can change that. And there are a lot of websites, like you said, out there that you can sign up for that will monitor your credit and let you know when changes happen and how that affects things.
Yeah. And do you have one that you recommend over the other, or do you think they're all about the same?
A lot of them, I would say, are about the same. They all offer a lot of, good services. But Identity Guard and Free Scores and More are 2 of our favorite websites, just because they're very thorough and the price is very good.
Yeah. No, I like that. All right. So let's talk about this a little bit. Why don't you tell us the difference between installment and revolving credit, and why are they both important?
Okay. Well, revolving credit is something like your credit card. It changes each month. So one month you could charge $300, and the next month it could be $175. There's no, it only changes based on how much credit you're spending. An installment loan is something like a car payment where you have a 4-year loan and you agree to pay $300 a month. That doesn't change. It's going to be $300 each month. So installment loans are things that are agreed upon ahead of time of how much you're going to pay, and revolving credit are things like credit cards where it changes based on what you're purchasing.
So I just got this. This tweet, and they're talking about, is paying cash for everything a bad thing nowadays?
Yeah, I would never say paying cash is a bad thing. It's at least you're paying it all in full, and nothing. It's not going to hurt your credit. But I think people who are smart with credit should use it, because if you pay for something with a credit card and you pay it back in full on time, that only helps you in the long run because it helps your credit score. So paying cash, no, that's not a bad thing. But if you're responsible, I think paying with credit can be beneficial.
There you go, and we'll say thank you to My Big for sending that question in. All right, so let's talk about this. What are the options if your credit card interest rates are high? There's a lot of credit cards that start you off like at a really low rate, and then of course they love nothing more than to just jack that up. So what's your take? What are the options out there for high credit card rates?
Well, the first thing to do really is to call your credit card company and ask them if they can lower your interest rate. And surprisingly, that works more often than people think, because the credit card company wants you to pay and pay on time. So if that means lowering your interest rate might help, then they can consider it. It's not a guarantee, but it's always, that should be your first option. Call and just ask politely. And if that doesn't work, you can always try to transfer your balance from one credit card to another card that offers like an introductory 0% APR, usually for the first year or so that you have the balance still, but you don't have to worry about having more interest charges on top of it. Right.
Yeah. And what do you call it? Doing this balance transfer thing can be a very great way of not only reducing your balance, but it's also a way for you to show to your existing credit card company that you mean business. And I've had an experience where I have called my credit card company. They refused to lower my rate. I did a balance transfer. Then they called me back and said, "Oh, okay, we'll go ahead and reduce your rate now." And so sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Especially if you tell them ahead of time too that look, if you can't lower it for me, then I'll pay a different company. I'll have a different company charge me, and that can scare them, and that can offer you a better deal. And I think that's why asking is so important, because a lot of balance transfer credit cards for people who have good or excellent credit, and not everyone can do that. They can't just transfer their balance just like that sometimes. So just asking but being firm, I think, is really important.
Absolutely. And I like what you said, guys. Make sure you ask politely. Friendliness begets friendliness. So keep that in mind. They're certainly not going to work with you if you go after them, with a bad attitude or whatever. Bottom line is you should be grateful they extended you credit. Now you're just looking for a better deal. All right, so let's talk about this, Jonathan. Ways you can start to build an emergency fund so you don't have to use a credit card to pay for unexpected expenses. What's your thought on this?
Well, it's so important to have an emergency fund. Different financial experts will tell you different things. You should have 3, 6, 12 months worth of expenses available in a savings account in case you lose your job, something like that. But it's important just at the very least to have $1,000 or $2,000 just for really unexpected expenses. If your car breaks down, or there's something that happens, an appliance breaks down at the house, you know, it can cost $1,000 to $3,000, and a lot of times people have to put that on their credit card. And if they can't afford it, then it's going to hurt their credit in the long run because they may not be making the payments on time, or you know, it just hurts their credit. It's always good to pay in cash, and with an emergency fund, you don't have to, you know, go to the credit card companies. This way, you have money on hand to pay for things that are unexpected. And you know, building a fund, an emergency fund, it's not. I never say anything's easy, but it may not be as difficult as people think. You know, even if they just put aside $20 or $50 a week, just in a savings account to have at the ready. I think that's so important because to have that money available in a situation that you're not expecting comes in very handy.
Yeah, certainly, absolutely. I mean, bottom line is having an emergency fund, having money in the bank brings you peace of mind. You know, there's nothing worse, and I've seen it, and I'm sure that you have too, Jonathan, that there's people out there who are making $1 million a year, but they're living on $1 million too. I mean, they're broke. They can't pay their taxes. They can't pay their bills. Could you imagine having that kind of money coming through you and not being able to manage your money? So, and it doesn't matter whether you're making $1 million a year, $100,000 a year, or $50,000 a year. It's always best to live below your means and have some, you know, have some cash in the bank. That, you know, that to me is where your peace of mind comes from. There's nothing better than knowing that you have an emergency fund, or like you said earlier, you know, 3-6 months worth of expenses socked away. You know, you never know what's going to come around.
Oh, absolutely, and especially, you know, if you lose your job for whatever reason. I mean, that in itself is a big blow, but, you know, it's even a bigger blow on top of it when you don't have the money to pay the things that you've been paying for, you know, months and years, and just to know that you have a few months, you know, it's a head start to get going without having to worry about falling into debt.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you know, all of a sudden you're forced to leave your house, get a smaller one, moving. You know, you got to make through all these changes. It's you know, you said something. It may not be that easy to save money, but it's certainly not hard, and it's certainly not as hard as having to, you know, move to a smaller apartment or a smaller home, or certainly it's easier than, you know, freaking out because you don't know where how you're going to pay your bills, and it's your third month of unemployment. And finding, you know, there's a lot of great jobs out there, but finding the one that's right for you could take 3 to 6 months.
Absolutely, and you make a great point, and I think people should definitely think about that. You know, what's going to hurt more, you know, having to look for a new place to live and worry about paying the bills, or, you know, saving $100 or $200 a month, you know, if you can. I mean, in the long run, saving that $100 a month is going to be a lot easier than moving or, you know, worrying about the bills.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right. Hey, Jonathan Royce, it's been good to have you on the show. Looking forward to have you back again another time. Guys, if we want to find out more about how to improve your credit score, you can go to Money for Lunch. Jonathan and nextadvisor.com has an article there on how to improve your credit score in 2015. Jonathan Roisman, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing.
Thank you so much for having me.
All righty. That wraps it up, guys. Great stuff. We talked about a lot of great stuff today. I really enjoyed this time with Jonathan Roisman about you and your credit. As always, we're grateful for your listening. Yeah, for your listenership, for your audience, for your time. Remember, you were created to succeed.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch. And check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.